Welcome back, dear viewer. West Virginia is home to several haunted houses, just like anywhere else in the United States, or really the world. Every town, every neighborhood has a haunted house story. In fact, West Virginia is home to some entirely haunted towns and communities. But recently someone asked me if I would do a video on Sistersville, West Virginia, a once thriving oil and gas boomtown along the Ohio River in Tyler County, West Virginia. It might seem like a sleepy little riverside town, but the town is home to one of West Virginia's most haunted hotels, the Wells Inn. Today, in this video, we're going to explore the haunted hotels of West Virginia. Located at 316 Charles Street, the Wells Inn has a history going back nearly 130 years, all the way back to its opening in 1895. Its history begins with the oil boom of 1891. It was said at this time there were more oil derricks in the area than trees. Soon after, thousands of workers, investors, politicians, and social elites flocked to the area looking to strike it rich in the oil industry. In 1893, the Big Moses well struck a massive gas deposit which was estimated to have produced 100 million cubic feet per day. This is according to Rosemary Gawley's The Big Book of West Virginia Ghost Stories. While I would definitely recommend the book, I got a lot of the information for this video from that text. Today, the inn is believed to be haunted by the original owner, Ephraim Wells. The figure of Ephraim reportedly roams the halls, keeping an eye on his establishment all these years later. During its heyday, the elites and politicians were living large on the third floor in suites with views of the mountains and river. The workers and labormen were packed in the lower levels, and to this day there are reports of doors opening and closing on their own, along with footsteps roaming the halls and stairwells of the hotel. The most active site in the hotel is believed to be the basement bar called the Wooden Derrick Lounge, once filled with workers and labormen looking to unwind after a long day of work. To this day, people report hearing footsteps, the sound of knocking on the walls, weird rattling noises, and have even reported seeing orbs and strange lights moving around the lounge. On the top floor, the most active rooms are believed to be room 324 and room 317, with doors that swing open and close on their own, the sound of footsteps, the shaking of the beds, and noises of a pencil feverishly writing something down, even when no one is in the area. Do the original workers still roam the halls and the bar of the Wells Inn? Do politicians and businessmen, investors still abide on the top floor? Is Ephraim Wells still overseeing his business all these years later from the beyond? Many in the Sistersville area and the West Virginia-Ohio River Valley would say yes. Now, West Virginia is no stranger to tales of haunted hotels. While I was personally spending a night propped up at the bar in the Hotel Morgan in downtown Morgantown, I found myself accompanied by several, let's call them paranormal investigators. This was probably back in 2014 or 2015, long before the channel, and long before I really had an interest or passion for the paranormal, but they still caught my curiosity. When they left, I asked the bartender if the hotel was supposed to be haunted. The bartender explained to me in a very matter-of-fact manner, almost like some type of ghostly insurance adjuster, that most hotels that have operated for more than 50 years or so, just on probability alone, have had several guests that have checked in but not checked out, adding in variables like balconies, grand staircases, railings, pools, spas, greatly increase the chance of accidents happening, especially if bars and alcohol are present in the hotel. Over the decades, these accidents can add up until establishments get a haunted reputation. Add in the creaking floors, the overused doors, the flickering of lights that go along with any aging building, people's imaginations tend to drift towards the paranormal, towards the ghostly. The Wells Inn in Sistersville and the Hotel Morgan of Morgantown are among a handful of other supposed haunted hotels in the Mountain State. The Low Hotel of Point Pleasant and the Blennerhassett Hotel Parkersburg, along with the General Lewis Inn in Lewisburg, also make up most people's short list of most haunted locations. But along with these, there is one that is rarely mentioned, even though it's one of the oldest and most well-known hotels in the entirety of the Mountain State. Using the bartender's remarks as a checklist, let's take a look at this hotel and see if it could be haunted in some capacity. It is very old, welcoming its first guests as early as 1778, making it just 2 years younger than the United States of America. Since that time, it's undoubtable that the hotel has seen several guests check in but not check out. The hotel is also known for its amenities, including the springs that give the area it's located in its name. I am speaking, of course, of the Greenbrier Resort of White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. While its story began in 1778 and it boasts itself as America's resort, there are particularly weird chapters of its history that many associated with it possibly being haunted. While many people know about the congressional bunker that was supposed to house part of the United States government in case of a nuclear war, its history of war goes way further back. During the American Civil War, both sides would occupy the lands that the resort sits on, using it as a headquarters and a hospital. Then, in the days immediately after the attack on Pearl Harbor, hundreds of American diplomats found themselves stranded in the Axis countries of Germany, Italy, and Japan. Likewise, the United States had hundreds of diplomats of its own. A plan was made to house these diplomats and their families in a series of rural and isolated resorts until trades could be set up to exchange them for American diplomats. Yes, during the early days of World War II, there was a series of trades for diplomats between the United States and the Axis powers. Think of it kind of like the NFL draft, but with much higher stakes. The Greenbrier in West Virginia, along with the Homestead in Hot Springs, Virginia, were both used as luxury internment camps for housing Italian and Germans before the Italians left and the Japanese diplomats were brought in from over at the Homestead so that it could operate its normal spring and summer seasons. Now, this outraged many people in the surrounding communities. These people saw these diplomats as enemies of the United States, being put up in one of the most luxurious hotels, living in leisure while their loved ones were being shipped off to fight the war. After the last diplomats had been traded, the U.S. Army purchased the resort and converted it into the Ashford General Hospital. During its time of operation, over 24,000 individuals spent time in the hospital until the resort was purchased by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad in 1946. But the resort is rarely mentioned when it comes to haunted places in West Virginia. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever visited one of these haunted West Virginia hotels, or if you have any paranormal experiences involving the Wells Inn, the Hotel Morgan, or of course the Greenbrier Resort. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to get to talk to you again very soon.